If you're a musician today, you face a dilemma. How do you get that genuinely flagship-level guitar tone, that tube amp feel, the huge palette of effects, without needing a manual the size of a phone book?
Right.
Modern gear has incredible potential, but complexity is often, the price you pay for flexibility.
It's a constant tension in the world of amp modeling, isn't it? You want digital depth, but you need analog speed.
Yeah.
And that is precisely why we're jumping into the Baratest GX series amp and effects processors today.
Yeah.
We're really looking at how Baratest engineered the GX100 and its newer super compact sibling, the GX10.
We've got a massive stack of sources here, and they all seem to agree this GX line is operating in what they call the modern middleweight category. It's not the massive top-of-the-line flagship like the GT1000, but it's way beyond just a simple two-button pedal.
Our mission today is pretty clear then. We need to dissect how Baratest successfully merged their, undisputed flagship tone lineage, which is derived directly from the GT1000's deep AIRD modeling, with a really intuitive, fast, modern workflow that is centered entirely around a high-res color touchscreen. This isn't just a technical deep dive. It's an analysis of how they solved a core user experience problem.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener? By the end of this deep dive, you'll not only get the core engine that drives the tone, but you'll also know the crucial feature trade-offs between the Pioneer, the larger GX100 from 2022, and the super portable GX10 released in 2024.
And you'll see why this platform is actually seen as historically significant.
Exactly. So let's start with its place in the market.
The GX line is just a masterclass in defining a niche. It avoids the budget compromises you'd see in entry-level units, but it doesn't carry the physical size or, the cost of the full flagships.
It's a middleweight that packs a serious punch.
Totally. It delivers high-end features and connectivity in a format that's really designed for the modern gigging musician or home studio user.
That distinction, the modern middleweight, is so important. It tells you immediately the core promise isn't just about a few built-in effects.
No.
It's about providing that sweet spot of high-end modeling with a high degree of portability and setup flexibility.
And critically, the promise is predicated on quality and speed. You are getting that GP1000-derived air amp feel, coupled with what are, genuinely flagship quality effects.
Which is a deliberate contrast to the legacy of older processors.
Oh, absolutely. The old traditional menu-driven things where trying to edit a patch just felt tedious and slow. The GX line's focus on instantaneous speed, thanks to that big color touchscreen, that's its defining feature.
Okay, so let's quickly catalog the two models then. The GX100, the original from 2022.
Yep.
Its core identity was all about maximum onboard control and integration. It's a floorboard first.
And the newer GX10, launched in late 2024, is explicitly described in the sources as taking that exact GX100 engine and color touch display and just putting it in the smallest practical footprint possible.
So its identity is maximum portability.
Optimized for smaller setups without sacrificing the actual processing power.
Okay. This brings us to the engine room. If they're touting flagship tone, we need to talk tech. What is Baratest relying on to provide this amp feel, and how is it different from older digital modeling?
The sound foundation is built around a really successful marriage between two core concepts. First, you have their long-standing tube logic approach. It focuses on meticulously modeling the physical behavior of a tube circuit, component by component. This just ensures the foundational tone is realistic.
But historically, that's where digital has sometimes fallen a bit short. A detailed model can still feel sterile, kind of lacking the dynamism of real tubes. How does Baratest make sure a player coming from a tube amp won't feel that spongy digital disconnect when they play the GX?
That disconnect is exactly what AIRD Augmented Impulse Response Dynamics is engineered to solve.
Okay.
AIRD is more than just impulse responses. It models the entire interactive ecosystem of the amplifier. It ensures that when you dig in with your pick, the model reacts exactly like a real physical tube amp breaking up.
So it's responding to your playing nuanced volume knob adjustments.
All of it. Pickup choices, everything. That crucial response under the fingers is what separates a good modeler from a truly great one.
That makes the modeling dynamic, not static. And just as critical as the dynamics is how that tone integrates into your rig. If you have a realistic digital tone, how do you stop it from sounding bad when it hits a real amplifier?
That's where the AIRD output select options become absolutely crucial. You might have the best digital amp model in the world, but if you send it straight into the front of a traditional amp, say a Fender Deluxe, the second preamp stage of that physical amp just colors your model tone completely wrong.
Right, it's like running an amp into an amp.
Exactly. So AIRD gives you specific dedicated profile filters for plugging into an amp's front end, for sending to an amp's effects return, for a full-range flat response system, and FR.
Which is basically a hi-fi speaker that doesn't color the sound.
Precisely. Or for sending it directly to the front-of-house mixing console. This ensures the tone translates correctly, instantly, no matter where it's going.
That level of destination customization is just non-negotiable for a gigging musician.
Yeah.
And speaking of flexibility, the internal routing capabilities here are incredible. Our sources highlight that both models allow for up to 15 simultaneous effect blocks in a single patch.
That is a huge amount of DSP overhead. It really is.
So you could run a drive, a noise suppressor, a delay, a reverb, a flanger.
And still have enough blocks left over to run 2 separate amp blocks at the same time.
So you can do a full dual amp setup.
Absolutely. If you want to run a dual amp setup, maybe blend a sparkling clean American style with a heavily saturated British stack, you can do that within one patch, using both series and parallel routing.
And naturally, to nail the sound, you need cabinet simulation for those modeled amps.
Of course. Both models feature a comprehensive selection of built-in speaker cabs, but for those who are really chasing specific studio tones, critically, they also allow for user IR loading.
So you can load your own.
You can load your own high-quality WAV impulse responses via USB using the Tone Studio software. You can customize your cabinet sound completely beyond the stock options.
Boy, that covers the core engine. Now we have to address the key difference that sets the GX line apart historically within the BOFS ecosystem, the workflow revolution driven by the color touch display.
This is the operational game changer. Think back to the previous generation of BIOS multi-effects, the co-SM era stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanted to make a simple change like moving an EQ from post-reverb to pre-delay, it often felt like diving through 6 layers of menus, using tiny buttons just to change one parameter. It was slow and frustrating.
And totally impractical to do live. That physical act of menu diving became the real bottleneck. The power was there, but the speed wasn't.
Exactly. The color touchscreen fundamentally changes the physics of editing. It allows for immediate drag-and-drop signal chain manipulation.
You're not scrolling through text. You're looking at a visual representation of your actual signal chain.
Yep. If you want to move your favorite vintage delay from post-amp to preamp, you literally just drag it on the screen.
That ability to see and manipulate complex routing visually is huge. It connects back to the historical significance we mentioned. This isn't just a convenience feature, is it?
No, it's an operational breakthrough. The sources emphasize that the GX platform is where BIOS successfully made deep, professional-level routing, like that 15-block chain we talked about, feel fast and practical.
Even when you're live on a gig.
Even then. Especially then, it made complexity truly accessible by just removing that menu wall.
All right, let's focus now on the GX100. The Pioneer launched back in March 2022. This model was built for the musician who values maximum control right on the floor.
Yes. The GX100 is designed to be a comprehensive floorboard replacement. It gives you immense control right out of the box, featuring 8 dedicated foot switches, plus a built-in expression pedal that also has a toe switch.
So you can easily switch between changing patches and using it like individual pedals?
Yeah, you switch between memory mode for patch changes and a dedicated manual mode that lets those 8 switches function just like individual stomp boxes.
And its connectivity is geared towards high-end pro integration, right? It plays well with other gear.
Crucially, the GX100 includes a dedicated send-return loop. This is vital for 2 reasons. First, integrating your external analog pedals. Maybe you have a favorite vintage fuzz you can't live without.
Okay.
Second, and more technically demanding, it lets you use the 4-cable method, or 4CM, set up with an external amplifier.
We should probably quickly define 4CM for our listeners since it's such a key pro feature.
Of course. The 4-cable method is a way to use your multi-effects to handle all your tone shaping before the amplifier's preamp-like drives and compressors.
Right.
And all your time-based effects in the amplifier's effects loop, like delays and reverbs.
So you get a best of both worlds.
Totally. Your amp's cherished preamp tone, mixed seamlessly with the GX100's sophisticated effects, all managed within one unit. That send-return loop is the key component that makes it possible.
Well, and it's great to see that BSS has continued to nurture this platform. The GX100 got that massive version 2.0 firmware update.
It did. It significantly expanded its tone palette, adding new AIRD amps for both guitar and bass, plus brand new effect types and general workflow improvements. It's an evolving piece of gear, not a static product.
That commitment shows the platform is robust. Now, let's shift to the newer, highly portable unit, the GX10, released in late 2024.
The sources are crystal clear on this. The GX10 uses the exact core sound engine and the essential color touch display from the GX100. They did not compromise on the brain.
They only miniaturize the body.
This is the compact contender. It's designed for maximum portability, think flying with a smaller rig or fitting into a crowded rehearsal space. The physical control layout is what immediately differs. The GX10 has only 3 foot switches, but still manages to integrate an expression pedal with a toe switch.
So despite the reduced size and control, it retains that massive capability we outlined earlier. Dual amps, 15 blocks, full editing via touch.
Completely. It maintains the full depth of the tone engine and the drag-and-drop editing. What's even more compelling are the updated headline numbers for the GX10, which reflect the expanded library from that GX100 firmware update.
So it launched with more stuff.
Yeah, it launched with 32 amplifier types, specifically 23 guitar amps plus 9 bass amps and over 170 effects.
That growth in the library shows the GX10 is launching with a deeper set of features than the GX100 did initially. That's great for the consumer.
And its connectivity has been refined for the portable user. It now features USB-C audio connectivity,
which makes it easier to interface with modern computers and mobile devices for recording or reamping.
a huge simplification for the modern recording musician.
Plus, the ability to control it wirelessly seems tailor-made for portability.
It is. It supports the optional Bluetooth audio MIDI dual adapter. This lets you edit patches remotely with a smartphone app, adjusting parameters without leaning over the unit.
And it facilitates audio streaming, which is great for silent practice.
Or just jamming along with backing tracks. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So we've laid out the features of both. Now for the crucial comparison, the one that helps the listener decide. If both models share the core AIRD engine, the dual amp capability, the 15 effects blocks, and that essential touchscreen workflow, what is the functional difference that dictates which unit you should choose?
It truly just synthesizes into a choice between control quantity and physical footprint.
Okay.
If you are a player who prioritizes maximum onboard foot control for immediate live use, meaning you want 8 dedicated switches without relying on external hardware, the GX100 is your choice. It's the ready-to-go, self-contained floorboard.
In other words, the GX100 is for the player who wants to keep everything mapped to a dedicated switch for quick access and performance.
Exactly. Conversely, you should choose the GX10 if your primary concern is maximum portability while retaining that high-end GX engine and fast touchscreen workflow.
Right.
It's aimed squarely at the high-end compact category, the HX Stomp class size. The trade-off is fewer onboard switches. But if you decide you need more foot control later, BOSS supports adding external controllers.
So you can add up to 2 foot switches or an extra expression pedal.
You can. It's expandable.
It seems like the GX10 is really the compact distillation of the GX100 concept. They are the same family, defined by that successful integration of flagship AIRD tone, massive processing, IR loading, and the intuitive high-speed touchscreen. The only real choice is whether you prefer quantity of control or maximum shrinkage.
That's the key takeaway. The GX line represents the successful move by BOSS to combine flagship tone technology, that AIRD realism, with a highly practical, fast, touch-enabled workflow, fundamentally making complex signal chains accessible and immediate.
Which was previously a serious challenge in the digital modeling world.
A huge challenge.
And since the core tone engine and the massive 15-block processing capability are now successfully integrated across both the large GX100 floorboard and the highly compact GX10, this raises a powerful question for you, the learner. Now that the middleweight category has been redefined by the speed and practicality of the touch interface, how quickly will we see this level of processing power and touchscreen capability fully miniaturized into standard single stomp box sizes in the coming years?
It's clear the technological trade-off is no longer primarily about sound quality or block count, but rather about physical control and screen real estate. The future is small, fast, and powerful.
A fascinating trajectory for modeling gear and workflow. That was the deep dive into the BOSS GX series. We encourage you to explore the capabilities of this modern middleweight platform further.